Story 1. Last time I visited my uncle, he prepared a delicious pot of chili. Then we watched football and enjoyed whiskey all afternoon. He definitely made 80 look fun. Story 2. My parents are in their late 70s. They enjoy traveling, playing tennis, visiting family and friends, dining out, and watching movies. Story 3. Probably the same things they did at 30, just with more sitting breaks and louder complaints about the weather. Story 4. I work with older people, mostly over 80, who live in their own homes. Here are a few things they like to do regularly. See swimming, walking trails, dancing, and attending courses. Even if they have little interest in the subject, they still get to make new friends of any age. In their words, they say, age is just a number. Story 5. Go fish, Uno, bingo, creating collages from magazine photos, hand massages, and manicures are great activities. Interest groups can include cooking, where everyone can contribute by measuring, stirring, and combining simple recipes like fruit salad, banana bread, or cookies. Other enjoyable activities are sing-alongs, movie nights with popcorn, simple crafts, and Wii bowling, which can be surprisingly popular. Story 6. Try asking them about their lives. They have lived through so much and probably have many stories they love to share from their younger days. Additionally, giving advice to the younger generation would be enjoyable for them. Don't forget to play some board games together. It will make for a great time. Story 7. My grandmother loved doing the following throughout her 80s: casino gambling, dining at her favorite restaurants, sharing stories about her past, discussing neighborhood, family, and celebrity news, true crime stories, finding in-store sales, getting her hair and nails done, watching her favorite TV programs, like Judge Judy, people watching at events, visiting her neighbors, children, and grandchildren, celebrating any holiday or family event, decorating her home for the holidays, applying her makeup and getting dressed up, attending her grandchildren's activities, such as sports and recitals, listening to music from her heyday, enjoying the occasional martini, choosing desserts, making Christmas tamales. She would save containers all year just to use for giving the tamales away to family, friends, and neighbors during Christmas. Story 8. My grandma is 86 years old and keeps herself busy at the local senior center playing bingo and cards. She goes to the casino at least once or twice a week and regularly goes out to eat with her friends. At home, she cooks, knits, and crochets. Although she has been doing that less since we got her a tablet, she enjoys playing a virtual jigsaw puzzle app for hours. She's a tablet-loving grandma. Story 9. My grandpa is an 84-year-old chain smoker who still regularly meets women at his retirement home. They are definitely still having fun. Story 10. My grandma travels frequently, has season tickets to the symphony, opera, and every theater in town, plays cards, makes an excellent margarita, hosts parties, and is a regular at one of the best restaurants in her city. Her social life is even more active and bustling than mine. Story 11. More older people are playing video games. My grandfather was a gamer up until he passed away. He was a pilot, so he enjoyed his flight simulator and he was very good at it. Here are some easy-to-play games. Minecraft is a classic. It is basically digital Lego, limited only by your imagination. Mario Party is like a virtual board game with additional minigames every round, and it is very easy to learn. Mario Kart is a simple racing game. It might be harder if you don't have full mobility in your hands, but it is still manageable. Both Mario games are great for playing with others. Diablo 2 is a perfect place to start if you want something a little more serious and combat-oriented. All of these games are easy to learn in terms of gameplay and controls, and they should not be too difficult if you do not have the reflexes or mobility you once did. Story 12. My dad plays golf, bocce, watches TV, and uses his iPad. He attends family gatherings and has a more active social life than I do at 40. Story 13. My father lives in a retirement community and enjoys golfing, attending bingo, karaoke, and concerts. My father-in-law is very active, walking 2 to 3 miles a day, dancing, and participating in Veterans of Foreign Wars and Elks events, as well as karaoke. Whenever he travels, he searches for senior centers that regularly offer activities like dances and music. Story 14. Take this as you will. Nursing homes have one of the highest rates of sexually transmitted infections compared to anywhere else. Story 15. I believe that the age group over 80 has the highest rate of sexually transmitted infections, so they may be engaging in sexual activity. Story 16. My dad is in his early 80s. At home, he enjoys watching the news, playing wordscapes, listening to music, and bonding with our dog, whom he treats like his grandson. When we have free time, he likes to drive and explore the nearby natural views. Story 17. Not in her 80s, but in her early 70s, my parents are going on cruises. My grandmother lived until her mid-90s and enjoyed the casino. She loved poker and was a fantastic player. She only stopped going when walking became painful. Story 18. Crosswords, gardening, and reminiscing about the mischievous things they did when it was easier to avoid consequences are what my grandmother enjoyed. Story 19. Give their younger family members guilt trips about how they never come around to see them, but little do they know they do visit. They just don't remember. Story 20. My dad and I went to see a movie. He did enjoy playing the occasional slot machine and smoking little cigars as well. Story 21. My parents, aged 80 and 85, socialize with friends frequently, travel, attend music concerts, and stay in touch with family. Additionally, my dad gives lectures on various subjects, which is heartening. Story 22. My in-laws are in their 80s. They walk aimlessly around the house or play solitaire on the iPad. Story 23. My granddad is in his mid-80s. He enjoys going to pubs, singing karaoke, dancing, reading, and betting on horse races. He takes barmaids out for dinner 4 or 5 days a week. Story 24. My pop is 82. He still goes fishing and can launch and load his boat by himself. He plays golf and started playing from the senior tees about 3 to 4 years ago. He shot his age last season. He is starting to slow down a little and show signs of an old man shuffle, but he is doing great. He plants a large, beautiful garden every year. He is my goose hunting partner and is still an excellent shot. He had 11 siblings and is now the last of them. My mom passed away 5 years ago, but Pop keeps persevering. I hope to be as healthy in my old age as he is. He is the best man I know and my best friend. I worry about how hard it will be for me once he passes. Story 25. 78 million from the United Kingdom. Travel, cinema, concerts, Sunday afternoon drinks with old friends, playing music and reading. Story 26. I work at a country club where members play card games, watch movies, participate in social clubs, travel for extended periods, swim, spend time with family, or simply enjoy lunch for about 2 hours. Story 27. I don't know, but based on my workplace, I am not retiring. When I'm 80, I will either be dead, demented, or playing Mario Kart with my other old millennial friends in a retirement home made out of an abandoned mall. Story 28. I was a kid then. I either rode bikes with my group of friends from the neighborhood, played with some action figures along with the same friends, played video games with them, or watched cartoons by myself. Life was so simple then. Story 29. My parents are in their early 80s. They visit a couple of Indian casinos every week and go out to dinner each Friday. They take a cruise 4 to 5 times a year and are avid readers as well. From what I can tell, that's about it, but it seems like plenty. Story 30. My grandparents traveled frequently. My grandfather enjoyed golfing, reading, and watching television, while my grandmother tended to her garden. She earned her doctorate in theology from Harvard in her 70s, and in her 80s she enjoyed teaching. She had a passion for shopping as well. I should mention that she was convinced she couldn't find a good cappuccino in America. We visited various coffee shops to try cappuccinos, but she would travel to Italy 2 to 3 times a year, claiming it was solely for the cappuccino. She also participated in Italian language groups to maintain her language skills, insisting that she struggled with it. Her parents were from Italy. She wasn't bad at it. She simply spoke with an American accent. Story 31. My grandma loved playing solitaire, engaging in various crafts such as crochet, macrame, painting, and drawing, socializing with friends, and exercising. She was very active and independent until she developed Alzheimer's disease. Story 32. As you get older, activities like crawling into a warm bed at a reasonable hour to read and then fall asleep feel like heaven. This is amplified 1,000 times, I suspect. Story 33. Run for office, damage the economy, express complaints about younger generations, stand in the middle of grocery aisles, own rental properties and negatively impact the housing market, drive unsafely. There are plenty of actions to take. Story 34. Mom was playing lawn bowls up until a few months ago. She has her girlfriends and no boyfriends lately, just family and us. She is now 81 and frustrated. Story 35. From my experience, I have visited places where many individuals aged 75 to 80 were gathered for bingo. Story 36. It depends on the 80-year-old and the condition they are in. My grandfather wanted to re-roof the house. The women raised a fuss, and the boys intervened, but he still installed the starter strips. He redid the plumbing himself and built new kitchen cabinets. My other grandfather only lived to be 72, so there is no answer there. Story 37. My grandparents turned 80 a few years ago, and they still do much more than I do. They take 10-mile walks with their walking group, practice yoga, attend live music events every week, and go on 6-week trips overseas, among other activities. Story 38. My parents are 84 this year. They travel, work, and volunteer. My dad is a substitute for younger ministers, taking over while the younger ones have time off. He has become a more radicalized progressive as he has aged and studied, which is interesting. He also officiates weddings and funerals, mostly funerals at this point. He has officiated most of my married friends' weddings. My stepmom stays active in her children's and grandchildren's lives. She is the fun grandmother you can go to with any problem without judgment. She also took control of their condo board to make it a less oppressive and more inclusive place to live. They are both involved in local social issues and charities. They take daily walks, even when it is bitterly cold or very hot. They are deeply in love with each other, which greatly benefits their mental and physical health. They put me to shame, that's for sure. Story 39. Have fun with people. Whenever asked what he did for work when younger, his standard reply was adult film star. The palliative care nurse was shocked, to say the least. Story 40. My grandma is 80 years old, and she enjoys traveling, going out with her friends for coffee and chatting, shopping, and dressing up to look nice. She gardens and takes care of her cats. She reads, watches television, and listens to music. It's pretty much normal stuff. Story 41. My mom is almost 83. She swims a mile a day, joined the Rotary Club, volunteers at a local food kitchen, works as an editor, and travels. She eats marijuana-infused cookies to get solid sleep. Mom has it all figured out. Story 42. My father is 79. We are finishing 2 weeks in Italy and France. He is learning French for fun while writing books in his spare time. Story 43. My maternal grandparents, now in their 90s, remained very active until their late 80s. They frequently attended the theater and opera, and my grandfather played tennis until he could no longer do so. We would go out to dinner and watch movies together. My grandfather was a lawyer and maintained 1 or 2 small clients for a time. My grandmother is an avid reader and loves to garden. She volunteered at the local botanical garden for many years. Nowadays, they read, listen to the news, watch tennis, and take short walks. My grandfather enjoys a massive slice of pizza, a large pastry, and a decaffeinated cappuccino every day. On my dad's side, my grandmother has participated in a book club and a spiritual discussion group, and she has done Zumba for a long time. She still drives at 90 years old and assists her friends with transportation. I feel very blessed to have strong examples of senior joy and independence. They are also health-conscious role models. Most of the women in my family live to be in their 90s, while the men do not tend to live as long, except for my grandfather, who will turn 95 in May. I even have a great-grandmother who lived to be 101. Story 44. This happened near me. It was wild. I sat in their court arraignment because I wanted to see these grandparents in real life. Story 45. My mom is active in the local senior centers and keeps in touch with former students, as she was a teacher for 35 years. She enjoys going out for lunch with friends, watching TV, and going to the theater. While she is not extremely active these days, she stays reasonably busy. Story 46. My parents are 89 years old. Apparently, going out for soup is their favorite activity. Every time we visit, they talk about the soups at the restaurant in their senior living community. They also have gatherings with other seniors from their church. Story 47. My father-in-law is 83, and he still golfs and travels the world as much, if not more, than he did when I met him in his 60s. Story 48. My grandpa just bought a 1967 GTO. I have only seen pictures of it, but I'm flying out to Colorado around Christmas time, so I can at least see it in the garage. Story 49. I am 77 years old and still ride my motorcycle, play amateur radio, read books, go for walks with my wife, and enjoy the company of my friends. Story 50. My parents turned 80 last year. They enjoy meditating, visiting bookstores, watching college football, and taking their grandchildren out to lunch, where they often give them money. My mom has lunch with her friends every couple of weeks, and my dad stays in regular contact with an online group of old friends. They have a dog who is a bit too much for them to handle, but they love her and couldn't imagine being without a dog. Story 51. If the shattered shell of a human being that is my father, almost 80 years old, is any indication, they derive great satisfaction from forgetting how to operate their phones to stress you out in a narcissistic manipulation routine. Obtaining alcohol through cunning and creative methods, even in the most challenging circumstances, is easy. However, keeping a mobile phone operational for more than 3 or 4 days is impossible. Story 52. Spend time with your spouse, children, and grandchildren. This is why childless millennials without children are likely to feel unhappy. Story 53. My wife's grandfather was still enjoying the local park, greeting his neighbors, practicing photography, and even teaching Photoshop at the senior center well into his 80s. In contrast, my great-grandmother, in her 90s, would pull out old photo albums and flip through them, exclaiming, "Dead, dead, dead," for all her friends and relatives who had since passed on. This suggests that a positive attitude is not necessarily required for longevity, but it certainly makes things easier for your descendants. Story 54. A friend of mine contacted me last week for snacks and cannabis for his mother's 80th birthday party. Now that's how to celebrate your 80th birthday. Story 55. With advances in medicine, it is possible for us to stay in shape without too many problems. You simply have to agree to do what you want a little slowly and accept being considered by some as living fossils. Since I retired at age 65, I have continued to walk. Where I used to walk 10 to 20 kilometers, I now do 3 to 10, regardless of whether it snows, rains, or there is sunshine. I go out on foot. As I have time, I signed up for a workshop to draw and paint. I create, and it is a great pleasure for me to translate my emotions into pictorial works. I sometimes complain when I have to bend down to pick up a coin from the ground because I'm a little rusty, and I grumble to myself when, on the subway, someone not a young person but a woman or a mature man gives up their seat for me. Naturally, I am free to go to the cinema whenever I want. I rarely go to the theater or the opera because they take place in the evening, and the theaters in Paris are rather uncomfortable. My last pastimes are reading books and watching a little television, and I must also admit that, like the youth, I have a smartphone. I spend a lot of time on it. I am an 87-year-old ancestor. Story 56. My grandfather conducts family history research. According to him, Ancestry.com obtained much of the information on my mother's side of the family from his confirmed and submitted research. Story 57. Read Old People magazine. Story 58. My wife works at a retirement home. The residents enjoy gambling, drinking, watching movies, playing bingo, using their iPads for games, listening to music, and gambling. Story 59. We have seniors using fentanyl off aluminum foil. I had to assist a gentleman and a lady out of the bathtub last night while I was working, and they were in very poor condition. The place looked extremely messy. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.